The Anthropocene is a hypothesized epoch of human relevance. It is the idea that we have actually changed the world so much that we are no longer in the Holocene epoch. We've entered a new era that is dominated by human activities.
Crawford Lake has been chosen as one of the potential sites to define the Anthropocene because of three things. First of all, it is unusual in that its waters don't fully mix. We call it meromictic, so that the bottom of the lake is not affected by what's going on at the surface. Secondly, it is a location that is relatively protected. It's in a conservation area. So the effects of very local impact are pretty small. So it's a good place to look for global input. And thirdly, there was evidence of indigenous agriculture. People were deliberately growing for food. So since we have a good history of different kinds of human impact over a long period of time that is very local, it was a good opportunity to contrast the last 50 years because we have a site that has been protected from a whole lot of local activities. So it has all of the markings of something that we want as a site to define this new Anthropocene epoch interval of geologic time because it has all of those characteristics.
What makes Crawford Lake unique is that it is able to tell such a clear, concise story, but also that it has this link to the history of land in terms of indigenous settlement, in terms of European colonial settlement, and in terms of global climate patterns, and it tells them all in the same breath.
When you are looking at lake sediments to reconstruct the past, the first step is getting those sediments. And what you want is to get an undisturbed, complete record of all of the sediments that have accumulated at the bottom of the lake since the lake formed. Getting a sample from the lake, if you want to have perfect retention of annual layers, these varves that are so important that act like tree rings so that we can count, you need to have that perfect preservation when you bring the sediments up, that they are exactly the way they were laid down originally. It's not just a matter of pushing something in and taking it out. There's a lot of calculations that go into it. It involves taking dry ice, mixing it with an alcohol like ethanol, and making this slurry that becomes super, super cold inside a metal tube. And then you set up a big tripod, because lifting this core when it's empty is hard enough. Lifting it when it's got sediment, you want to be sure that you don't disturb anything. So you lower the core filled with this slurry till you're just above the lake bed. And then you drop it free fall so that it sinks. The more time it spends down there, the thicker the rind gets.
Understanding the core sample will affect the future, I'm hoping at least, in terms of getting people to understand both our relationship to the core, our relationship to the land, how the local is intertwined with the global, and having that as kind of a setting off point in terms of thinking about what we do locally now in terms of climate change solutions also have global impacts. And so it's not a one-way effect where it's just we're being pounded by global changes. We're actually being able to influence those changes globally. And who we are and how we got here in some ways doesn't really matter. We're all on the same planet, we're all interacting with the same waters, we're all interacting with the same land and the same atmosphere. And realizing that people always are interacting with the environment, are always connected to it, that it is responsive to what we're doing. All of these things have an impact on the environment at some scale, and I think that that's a really powerful message that the core tells us.